This is Smni News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, the National Bureau of Investigation serving of a warrant at the Kingdom of Jesus Christ Center compound proceeds peacefully and in an orderly manner, in contrast to the violent and inhumane attack by the Philippine National Police. The NBI served the warrant and conducted a search inside the kingdom on Friday. Pastor Paulo has not yet been located by authorities. Meanwhile, the Kingdom of Jesus Christ remains unwavering in the face of a possible second wave of attacks by the PNP. The KOJC asserts its commitment in protecting all of its religious compounds and vows never to give up the hard-earned sacrifices of its millions of members around the globe. In other news, the Court of Appeals has ruled to freeze Smni's bank accounts. This decision, however, is an outright suppression of free speech, according to attorney Harry Roque. And for our top global stories, the death toll from the deadly crash in São Paulo, Brazil has risen to 62. The tragedy is still under investigation, and authorities have recovered the black boxes from the plane's wreckage. I'm Frederico Velloso. Newsline World starts now. The National Bureau of Investigation Region 11 peacefully served an alias warrant of arrest to Pastor Paulo at the KOJC Center headquarters on Friday. This is starkly in contrast to the armed police attack on the same religious compound last June 10, 2024. Let's check on how the NBI's operation went with Jason Rubrico.
Officials of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ peacefully received the representatives from the National Bureau of Investigation Region 11, who served an alias warrant of arrest to Pastor Paulo at the KOJC Central Headquarters on Friday. Carrying with them the arrest warrant, the NBI searched every nook and cranny of the kingdom, from the basement to the top floor. The Philippine National Police, or PNP, believes this is where Pastor Paulo is allegedly hiding. NBA Region 11 Director Attorney Arcelito Alba, Senior Agent Vic Canyo, Agent Manny Dulay, and Head Agent Vicente Minguez led the said operation. KOJC missionaries remained calm throughout the operation as the NBA properly served the warrant without using force, unlike the violent incident on June 10, 2024, when a joint force of PNP CIDG violently attacked the said religious compound.
Yes, you have already heard na the NBI naman, proper government agencies, para dito. Nag-search sila, patala sila ng information that they were to pop up. Of course, we opened our doors to them. And as you have well already seen, we have cooperated well. Kung sino man talaga pupunta, basta maayos lang naman po yung hindi naman kami lalabag sa batas.
KOJC Executive Secretary Eleanor Cardona reiterated that the authorities do not need to use force to enter the KOJC religious compound just to serve warrants, and that is where KOJC missionaries peacefully reside.
We are peaceful, loving people. Resident ito na mga kingdom members and full-time workers, mga missionary. So this is our home. At kung gusto niyo mang pumasok kahit kanino bahay, magbigay po kayo naman kayo. Galangin niyo naman yung pamamahay namin. Yun lang naman ang hinihiling namin, yung patas na talaga. Naaayon talaga sa ating batas.
Asked if the KOJC would still accept BNP officers planning to serve another arrest warrant, this was Cardona's response.
Ng legal team namin na hindi service na yon. Basta wag lang silang lahat. At wag lang silang kagaya nung una, nung June 10, nakita nyo naman. Naka-full battle gear sila at pupunta sila sa combat at mukha bang terorista yung mga nakatira dito. Hindi po, wala po kaming armas. Namumuhay lang kami ng payapa dito sa compound na to. Tahimik.
Cardona also reminded the Philippine National Police to follow the laws of the land.
Kung ano yung batas, sundin lang natin yung batas. Naaayon sa batas at patas lang talaga ng gagawin nyo yung service nyo para sa mga mamamayang Pilipino, lalo na dito sa KOJC na ito nga, ayusin lang talaga nila yung yun lang naman ang request natin para sa ating mga kapulisan. Meron pa rin naman tayong respeto, ay natin mawala yun. Ginagalang natin sila. Huwag lang talaga silang gagamit ng lahat.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, Smni News.
former cadre of the CPP-NPA fears that bloodshed may occur in the city of Davao after Hansel Maratan was appointed as the city police officer chief. Maratan had been involved in several controversial incidents, including the 2013 rebound case in Antimonan, Quezon, where 13 people died. The former cadre believes this appointment is part of a game plan against Pastor Paulo ACQ and the KOJC. The full details from Franco Baranda.
Colonel Marantan now is the CC Director. At he is not being put here for no reason at all. Inilagay siya dito dahil may game plan.
Jeffrey Eric Celis, a former cader and intelligence officer of the CPP-NPA-NDF, believes that the appointment of Police Colonel Hansen Marantan as the chief of the Davao City Police Office, or DCPO, is part of a grander game plan. As a reminder, the DCPO seemed to have broken an unusual record by having 3 chiefs within a single day. First, Police Colonel Lito Patay was appointed as chief, replacing Colonel Rolando Sugilon, who was designated as officer in charge after Colonel Richard Badang was removed from his position due to issues related to the city government's war on drugs. However, just 4 hours later, Colonel Patay was replaced by Colonel Sherwin Butil. Unfortunately, within a few more hours, Colonel Butil was then replaced by Marantan, who has been linked to various illegal activities throughout the years.
Ano bang record ni Colonel Marantan as per public open source information? Si Colonel Marantan po ay involved sa maraming mga high level na mga madudugong police operation na may mga namamatay. Ito'y tinuturo siya na involved sa mga away na mga waiting lords sa Timonan, Quezon na ikinasawi na mahigit 10 sa isang rob out.
Kapwa pa niya polis.
Kapwa polis din ang involved at may mga ilang mga armed forces personnel na nadamay. At may Valle Verde Syndicate operations noon na ang pangalan niya rin ay lumabas. At rob out ang itinuturo. At ito'y involved dito ang Task Force Limbas. This is about anti-kidnapping operations and anti-carnapping. Dalawang units. At maraming mga reklamo sa kanya tungkol sa waray-waray o Samis Gang shootout sa Parañaque na may mga rob out allegations.
According to Boss Dada of Banateros and anchor of Smni, in an interview they conducted with former Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag, Marantan was allegedly tasked with carrying out a shoot-to-kill order against him.
Meron kaming interview kay Director General Bantag before, at isa sa mga sinabi niya sa amin na meron daw shoot-to-kill order sa kanya. At si Marantan din, di umano, yung inatasan para i-hunt siya. So, talagang makikita mo na yung reputation talaga nitong tao na ito ay talagang siya yung tagagawa ng mga kumbaga karahasan or yung mga hindi kayang gawin nung normal na mga pulis, siya yung kumbaga executioner.
Meanwhile, Eric does not dismiss the possibility of bloodshed in Davao City, particularly at the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound, which is currently facing harassment from the police.
Kung naalala po ninyo, noong March 2023, tama po ba? March 2023, ay nagkaroon po ng massacre sa Negros Oriental, sa Pamplona, sa lugar, sa bahay mismo ni Governor Digamo. At ang involved doon na itinuturo at kinasuhan ay ang grupo ni Congressman Arnie Teves. Ang nagsagawa po ng raid at extensive na paghabol sa mga armed group na involved sa massacre na yon ay si Colonel Marantan. But he was at that time CIDG NCR, pero ipinadala sa Negros Oriental. The game plan was to adapt that kind of approach dito sa Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Bakit po namin ito ibinibring up sa press conference na ito? Because these are serious predicates. Mga batayan at salalayan po ito ng posibilidad ng madugo, marahas na paglusob at paggamit ng mga puwersa similar to this high-level, bloody, and very violent rob-out type allegedly na police operations na may mga namamatay involving kay Colonel Marantan. We're not saying na siya yung mamamatay tao. But sinasabi sa mga open source information na halos 8 na kaso na mga ito, puro allegedly ay violent and mga madudugong enkwentro.
Due to the possibility of another police attack on KOJC religious compounds like the one that happened on June 10 that caused severe fear, trauma, and deaths of 2 indigenous people in Kitbog, Malungon, Sarangani, Eric has a question for Marantan.
Are you part of the main game plan? Are you the missing variable factor to execute more violent, more bloody, and more destructive assault on the kingdom of Jesus Christ to terrorize the entire Davao City? Are you na? Nagtatanong kami.
Meanwhile, Boss Dada also has an appeal to Marantan.
Ngayon, ang pinapanawagan ko lang sa kanya is binigyan ka ni Mayor Baste Duterte ng pagkakataon at hiningi mo yun sa kanya. Kaya sana naman, ipakita mo yun na talagang sincere ka kasi napakaganda at napaka-peaceful ng Davao. Sana kung inilagay ka dyan for a reason at sana naman gamitin mo yun sa tama.
The KOJC had earlier stated that all of the current actions against Pastor Paulo ACQ and the congregation are part of the playbook hatched by the United States. For God in my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Franco Baranda, Smni News.
Meanwhile, former cadre intelligence officer of the CPP and PNDF is questioning why the AMLC remains silent on the blatant corruption by crook politicians. Meanwhile, the KOJC believes that the Philippines can still prosper and improve if it's not led by corrupt government officials. Omar Fosuelo reports.
The Philippines is rich in natural resources, agriculture, marine life, vast and beautiful nature, rich culture, and much more. If you think about it, it's not impossible for the Philippines to be among the most admired countries in the world. But because of the rampant corruption by greedy and selfish politicians, many of our fellow citizens continue to suffer from severe hunger and poverty. A prime example of this is the flood control projects under Marcos Jr., funded with billions of pesos daily. But what's the result? Nearly all towns in Luzon are submerged in flood water after the onslaught of Typhoon Karina and the southwest monsoon. Now, many are asking, where is the taxpayers' money going? Instead of being allocated to projects that would create jobs or programs that would ease the lives of Filipinos, it ends up in the pockets of heartless politicians. At the 6th press conference of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ or KOJC in Davao City, one of the panel's key points was the severe corruption being committed by the Marcos administration following the Court of Appeals issuance of a 20-day freeze order on the bank accounts allegedly linked to Pastor Paulo ACQ. It's worth noting that the Court of Appeals sided with the Anti-Money Laundering Council's or AMLAC petition due to the alleged illegal transactions by the pastor, even though he doesn't own a single bank account. According to Jeffrey Eric, a former intelligence officer of the CPP and PNDF, if the government is serious about going after those who steal public funds and engage in illegal activities, why doesn't it investigate and go after the lawmakers who are at the forefront of plundering the people's money?
Kung totoo ginahabol ng gobyerno ang mga money launderers, ang mga nagpupondo ng iligal at terorismo, ang may pinakamaraming pondo na dapat habulin ng gobyerno ay kasama mismo ng gobyerno sa loob ng Kongreso. For the last 21 years, mahigit 10 billion po ang pondo na nakuha ng Communist Party of the Philippines mula sa gobyerno sa pamamagitan ng party list na ACT Teachers, Gabriela, Kabataan Party, Bayan Muna, and Anak Pawis. Was there any investigation by AMLAC done against them? No, none.
He also shared that even when he was still with the leftist group, they were already aware of the dirty tactics politicians used to steal from the national treasury.
Oh, grabe. Ito, terrible ito. Due to unethical techniques, some projects are completed with subpar materials and workmanship, rendering them useless and prone to total failure.
Correct.
Oh, number 4. Nepotism and favoritism. Alam to ni Saldico. Oh, alam din ito ni Dong.
Delikado yan.
Why? Because ang pangongontrata mismo, kung hindi sila, pamilya nila, at mga kaibigan. Ito ang tatak, kung si Ma'am Lorraine pa kanina, ng Marcos. Cronyism, nepotismo, at ang paggamit ng gobyerno bilang pribado nilang gatasan. Yan ang tinatawag namin sa CPP na burokrata kapitalismo. Bureaucrat capitalism.
Alam mo, kailangan,
Ginagamit na
ang
negosyo
kailangan
ang
dito,
For political vlogger and SMNI anchor Banat Bay, these politicians have become too brazen as they are even pushing to extend their terms to prolong their plundering of the nation's wealth.
At alam nyo, ang tindi, ang kapal ng mukha nito mga to, nag-file ng gusto nilang magkaroon ng 5-year term.
extension ng kanilang panunungkulan.
May pa-economic ano pa
Si
sila.
President Marcos
Pinsan
din,
ito ni
diba?
Marcos.
Sa
pinsan
Ilocos
nito.
yun eh.
Marcos.
Si Congressman Barba.
So, kalokohan yung sinasabi nila na economic reform ang gusto.
Yes.
Ito talagang gusto nila, 5 taon pa. Kasi nga naman, pag 3 taon, kailangan nila magmadali, magnakaw para makapagtumakbo uli. No, nai-stress sila kung 3 years lang. At least kung 5 years, may time silang magnakaw para maka-re-elect uli sila.
Following this, due to the Marcos administration's continuous mistreatment of defenseless Filipinos, hundreds of retired generals have expressed their disappointment in the current administration's actions.
Exactly. Yun ang dahilan kung bakit as of the moment, while we're talking, Sir Jay, 138 signatories na mga retired generals. Pero babalikan ko yan ng briefly lang kasi may tanong si Banat Bay from the netizen na pwedeng mag-react kayo at ang mga co-panel ko. So naipakita natin na ang issue at ang sitwasyon na parang laboratorio ng martial law ang Davao City at ang nagaganap na pang-aabuso sa mga kabataan, sibilyan, kababaihan at mga katutubo dito sa Davao, sa Kingdom of Jesus Christ, ay issue ng competence ni Marcos na hindi na niya kayang mamuno, issue ng mamamayan yan.
Meanwhile, according to Sister Eleanor Cardona, Executive Secretary of KOJC, many are envious of KOJC because of the progress and achievements it has attained. Sister Cardona also emphasized that the beauty and organization of KOJC could be mirrored in the Philippines if it weren't led by corrupt politicians.
So, ulitin namin, itong naipon nila at itong lahat na binigay ito lahat ng ating Panginoon Diyos. Ito ang magiging resulta kapag ang pamamahala matino, honest, walang corruption, zero corruption. Kaya ganito pinagpala ang Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Kami, nagkakaisa kaming lahat. Walang corruption dito. Yung pera, honesty yan. Blood, sweat, and tears. Talagang singhot talaga. Luha. Bawat isa. Sacrifice ng bawat isa yan. Hindi kami nahihirapan bagkos pag-ibig namin yan, pagkakaisa namin yan. Kaya yan din ang produkto ng isang leader na ang isipan ay talagang excellent at totoo. Ganun kaganda ang napoproduce. Kaya balikin ko man sabihin, nakakaawa talaga yung Pilipinas. Kung titingnan nyo, anong klaseng buhay ba meron kami sa kingdom? Kaya ganun na lang, no? Ang inggit nila, ganun na lang talaga na gusto nila i-covet.
Finally, the KOJC Executive Secretary explained that it's not too late. She said that we can still achieve our dreams for the Philippines if our leaders is like Pastor Paulo ACQ, who is not corrupt and genuinely loves the Filipino people and the nation.
We can also have this kind of life. Kung yung leader natin, kagaya ng kay Pastor. Kaya nga si Pastor gustong tumulong. Gusto niya kung anong nangyari dito sa kingdom, sa lahat ng compounds na nakita niyo kung gaano ka maayos, disiplinado, malinis, organized, at excellent, pati ang kultura ng mga tao. Yan yung dapat na magiging bunga, hindi lang ng kingdom nation, pero ang nation ng Pilipinas.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Forzuelo, SMNI News.
The darkest chapter in the Philippine history, martial law in 1972, is once again looming under the regime of Marcos Jr. and Davao City said to be the starting point, according to a former cadre of the CPP and PNDF. Jade Calabroso reports.
Is martial law happening now? That's the common sentiment among the residents of Davao City, particularly the missionaries of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, who are experiencing harassment and oppression from the abusive government of Marcos Jr. The government is blatantly instilling fear and terror, openly violating the law. This began on June 10, 2024, when multiple battalions of PNP SAF forces simultaneously and violently attacked the religious compounds of the KOJC, allegedly to serve an arrest warrant for 6 accused individuals, including Pastor Paulo Kibuloy. However, after failing to capture the accused, the police have not stopped harassing KOJC members. Missionaries report that police surveillance is constant, with 24/7 monitoring of their homes, checkpoints set up around the area, drones flying day and night, and other reported violence of their rights. At a KOJC press conference, the ongoing harassment by Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s regime, the son of the notorious dictator, was again highlighted. According to Jeffrey K. Eric Celis, a former intelligence officer of the CPP, NPA, NDF, and now an anchor on Smni, Marcos Jr. is targeting Davao City, the home of the Dutertes, to silently reintroduce martial law. He claims this is part of Marcos Jr.'s political persecution against the Dutertes and their allies.
Ang buong Davao City po ay naging isang buhay na laboratorio ng martial law version 2 ni Marcos Jr. Hindi niya idinideklara, hindi niya inaamin, subalit ito ang kanyang ginagawa. Ito, ang martial law laboratory ni Marcos sa Davao City ay isang political persecution, isang personal vendetta upang ang kanyang mga perceived political enemies at mga kaalyado ng kanyang perceived political enemies na tinitingnan niyang kasama doon sa mga grupo na malapit sa mga Duterte ay kanyang gustong lumpuin at igupo. Yan ang ginagawa niya ngayon kay Pastor Kibuloy.
Celis describes the actions of the Marcos regime as state-sponsored terrorism, which he claims is even worse than the symptoms seen during the martial law of his dictator father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr.
Never seen before since the time of the declaration of martial law in 1972. Nakakabahala po ito sapagkat maliban noong August 5, binalik nila ulit noong August 7 and 8, 2 araw magkasunod. Habang tayo nag-uusap, pinasok nila muli ang Tamayong District na ito. Ang Kalinan District, ang Tamayong at paligid nito at nagsagawa ng tinatawag na zoning and hamleting. Ano po ang zoning? Ang zoning po ay ang pagbabahay-bahay illegal na ginagawa sa panahon ng martial law kung ikaw ay naghahanap ng mga rebelde at terorista. Pero mga civilian population po ito na mga magsasaka, magbubukid, manggagawang bukid at mga katutubo at mga full-time religious workers ang nakatira dito. Hindi po mga bandido, tulisan o terorista. Sinusuna nila ang mga bahay at mga sityo at walang search warrant o ano pa mang mandamiento mula sa korte, bit-bit nila mga matataas na kalibre ng armas. Ang hamleting ay ang pagkontrol ng movement ng mga tao upang sila ay sikilin sa kanilang paggalaw sa isang komunidad. Sapagkat naniniwala sila na nandito lang sa paligid si Pastor Kibuloy at ang kanyang mga ministro.
According to political commentator E.B. Hugalbot, what is happening in Davao City is also a way for the Marcos regime to establish authoritarian rule in the country.
The only test case or litmus test of that authoritarian form of terrorism or display is to go to Davao itself. Because pag hindi pumalag yung mga Davaoenyo, they will be emboldened to do it somewhere else.
Meanwhile, in an interview, Vice President Sara Duterte also believes that politics is the reason for the intense harassment against Pastor Apollo.
Unang-una, alay siya ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Tumulong din siya sa kampanya ko nung ako ay tumakbong Vice President. So merong anggulo dyan na politika. Tapos gusto siyang kunin ng US government.
Celis adds that Marcos is being used by the United States to take control of the Philippines for its interests.
Sapagkat si Marcos po ay nagiging instrumento ng panibagong paghahari ng Amerika sa ating bansa upang manumbalik ang neo-kolonyal o ang kanilang panibagong pangungulunya sa Pilipinas. At dahil dyan may mga bagay si Marcos, perang ninakaw ng kanilang pamilya na nakatago at naka-frozen din sa Amerika, ang kanyang pangungunyapit sa poder na hindi siya mahuhulog habang sinusuportahan sa ng Amerika at hindi siya makukudita o ano pa mga banta sa kanyang kapangyarihan na nakasandig sa Amerika. Isasakripisyo si Pastor at ang mga Duterte para mawala ang political threats nila both ng Amerika at ng mga Marcos.
It is remembered that upon the entry of the Marcos regime, the Philippines' foreign policy suddenly shifted to a pro-American stance. During Marcos Jr.'s term, cases against Pastor Paulo that had already been dismissed by the country's courts were revived. Even the franchise of Smni, known as former President Rodrigo Duterte's platform, is under threat of being revoked. This week, the Court of Appeals issued a freeze order on the properties of Pastor Apollo and other KOJC leaders, including the Children's Joy Foundation Incorporated and Smni. However, KOJC insists that Pastor Apollo does not personally own any properties as they operate under a Commonwealth system, and CJFI and Smni are independent organizations. Meanwhile, KOJC previously announced that the Marcos region plans to seize their properties. For God of my beloved Philippines, this has been Jade Calabroso, SMNA News.
Due to Vice President Sara Duterte's criticism of the Marcos Jr. administration, Congress members immediately countered and attacked the Vice President, sparking rumors of an alleged impeachment process against her. Here's the report from Angel Pastor.
Vice President Sara Duterte has been vocal in criticizing the shortcomings of the Marcos Jr. administration. One of these criticisms involved the flood control project, which Marcos Jr. proudly highlighted in his third State of the Nation address. However, VP Sara's criticism was met with retaliation from Marcos Jr.'s allied congressmen. They bombarded the vice president with relentless criticism, leading to reports that the process to remove her from office had already begun. Former presidential spokesperson Attorney Frederico said that it wouldn't be surprising if the majority of Congress under Speaker Martin Romualdez favored the impeachment of VP Sara.
Kung mapapansin mo, talagang ang mga kongresista o pare-parehong pinagsasalita ng kanilang PR, kung sino man yung PR nila, ay panay ang banat ngayon kay VP Sara para sanggain yung mga binatong mga paratang ni VP Sara. Mukhang sisimulan nila ang proseso ng impeachment kay VP Sara bilang ganti dito sa mga binigkas na salita ni VP Sara laban sa gobyerno. No? Double-edged sword yan. Okay? Kasi alam natin na bagamat may numero kayo dyan sa Kongreso at lahat kayo hawak na ating speaker na madali yung i-impeach yan.
But Roque emphasized that even if the majority of Congress members favor removing VP Sara, it would still be difficult to push the impeachment through the Senate.
Unang-una, alam nyo naman, mahirapan yan sa Senado dahil lalong-lalo na kung ang gagamitin yung basehan ay yung confidential funds na nakabinbin pa sa Korte Suprema. So paano naman aakto ang Senado sa isang legal issue na nandoon na nakabinbin na sa Korte Suprema? Hindi ba dapat antayin muna yung resulta noon dahil yun naman ang katungkulan ng hudikatura? No? Itaguyod ang supremacy ng ating saligang batas na sinasabi ng mga petitioners dun sa Korte Suprema na linabag daw ang saligang batas nung binigyan ni Marcos Jr. ang ating Inday Sara ng 221 million na parang 125 doon ay confidential fund na nagastos ng mga satellite offices. Kung titignan mo naman saan napunta yung mga nagastos na yan, yan ay lahat napunta sa tulong sa taong bayan. No? Yan naman talaga ang paggamit ng confidential fund.
Roque added that aside from the confidential funds being thrown at VP Sara, it's possible they will add other reasons for the planned impeachment against the Vice President.
Marami pa raw mga ibang mga basihan ang isasama nila dyan. Nandyan yung sa procurement daw ng ghost textbooks. No? Ang alam ko, napakaingat ni VP Sara pagdating dyan sa procurement sa DepEd. Dahil nga, nung siya pumasok, meron ng iskandalo na tungkol sa laptop na kinabilangan pa nga nung chair ng Committee on Appropriations sa si Zaldico, pero wala naman nangyari. No? Magkaroon lang ng ingay, wala naman nangyari. Ewan ko kung meron talagang makakasuhan dyan.
In the end, Roque stated that it is within VP Sara's rights as a government official to criticize the mistakes and shortcomings of Marcos Jr. as any elected official should be open to criticism. For God of my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
The armed forces of the Philippines will not stop the patrols in the Philippines territories despite the new bullying actions by China in the airspace. Omar Fosuelo reports.
The armed forces of the Philippines strongly condemned the provocative and dangerous actions of China's People's Liberation Army Air Force or PLAAF. It can be recalled that on August 8, during a routine maritime patrol over Bajo de Masinloc, a Philippine Air Force NC-212I aircraft was suddenly overtaken by a Chinese aircraft, which then released flares in the path of the Philippine plane. According to AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr., the personnel of the Philippine Air Force were put in danger while conducting maritime security operations within Philippine territory.
Well, it's really very dangerous. Yung ginawa po nilang maneuvers ngayon are very dangerous. In fact, bawal na yung ganung kalapit at yung maglapas ng flares in the path of another aircraft. That is wrong. Very dangerous, illegal po yung ginawa nilang maneuvers ngayon, and that is dangerous and provocative.
The AFP has already reported the incident to the Department of Foreign Affairs and other government agencies, while the Philippine Air Force pilots safely returned to Clark Air Base. Secretary Gilberto Chodoro of the Department of National Defense or DND stated that they expect China to continue such actions.
The National Maritime Council will consider these things, but we have to expect na ito ay continuous pattern na gagawin ng China laban sa atin. Ito ay continuous na struggle for presence and for assertion of sovereign rights in the area. So you will have to expect these things to happen.
Regarding the question of whether China's actions are alarming, this is the Secretary's response.
I do not think it's alarming. It is a response that we should need to be acclimated to.
On the side of the AFP, even though they expect China to repeat these actions, they will not stop their patrols within Philippine territory.
Sabi nga ni Secretary Chodoro, makikita natin ito comments na ito in the future. So, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung gagawin natin pag-patrol. At sinabihan niya natin yung mga personnel natin sa AFP na huwag matakot. Hindi lang po yung mga piloto, pati na rin po yung ating mga sailors ay dapat tuloy-tuloy yung ginagawa natin maritime patrol.
Meanwhile, Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique Manalo said the Philippines is always open to discussions.
And of course, tayo, Pilipinas, we're committed, we've always said, to try and settle kung anong disputes or whatever through diplomatic and peaceful means. We will continue. It's up to China whether they will.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Forzuelo, Smni News.
An event for the Filipino youth was held at the Philippine National Police Academy in Silang, Cavite over the weekend for the annual International Youth Day. MJ Mondahar has the story.
It was like a mini Paris Olympics this past weekend at the Philippine National Police Academy or PNPA as the country celebrates their International Youth Day. Led by the National Youth Commission, cadets from the Philippine National Police Academy, Philippine Military Academy, Philippine Marine Merchant Academy, Philippine Navy, ROTC cadets, and Sangguniang Kabataan or SK officials from various parts of the Philippines joined the event, which kicked off with a silent drill presentation by the PNPA cadets. The cadets demonstrated their discipline, evident in their posture, uniforms, and routines. Ronald Cardema, chairman of National Youth Commission, intentionally brought ROTC cadets and SK officials to the PNPA.
Tumindig bilang leader, kabataan ng bansa, yayain ang ating mga kabataan na maging disiplinado, mag-training sa pagdepensa sa bansa, lalo na sa disaster preparedness, at labanan ng recruitment ng NPA sa hanay ng kabataan.
In addition to military training, the delegates also participated in friendship games. They also showcased their skills in tug of war. Since Undersecretary Cardema took office, NYC's programs have been pro-PNP and AFP, especially in raising awareness among the youth that joining the ROTC is not wrong. Vice President Sara Duterte is one of those advocating for the return of mandatory ROTC in schools. Meanwhile, the delegates also tried basic gun firing. The Keepers Club International also actively participated in the activities. The Keepers Club is one of NYC's partners in youth programs. They were trained by Pastor Paulo C. the founder of the Keepers Club, which has long been offering free music lessons in schools.
Nandito po kami ngayon para sumuporta po sa International Youth Day po na nakikiusap po kami sa sambayang Pilipino, especially sa mga estudyante, mga kadete po na talaga magbibigay karangalan din po sa ating bansang Pilipinas.
The Keepers Club also held a question and answer portion with Undersecretary Cardema. With that, the NYC assured that their partnership with the Keepers Club will continue regardless of who becomes the chairman.
Lagi sinasabi natin, ang kabataan ay pag-asa ng bayan. Pero kung yung kabataan na yan ay walang disiplina, walang pagmamahal sa bansa, walang training, orientation man lang sa nation building, baka hindi maasahan yan ng bansa, lalo na ng pamilya, kahit ng pamilya niya, di ba? So nilalapit natin sila sa ating mga tropa ng gobyerno dahil alam natin, ito yung mga disiplinado, ito yung nagtatanggol sa ating bansa at lumalaban sa NPA. Yun ang importante.
For Government of Philippines, MJ Mondiha, Smni News.
To prevent the risk associated with leptospirosis, the Health Department will recommend that local government should pass ordinances that will prohibit bathing in floodwaters. Creslin Catarong reports.
The Department of Health will advise local chief executives to enforce a ban on swimming or bathing in floodwaters. This recommendation follows a rise in leptospirosis cases in the Philippines due to severe flooding caused by the monsoon and Typhoon Karina. In an ambush interview at Malacanang, DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa stated that he would discuss with the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA to regulate this measure as a health protection for the public. He will suggest that local government units pass ordinances urging residents to stay indoors during floods if possible.
Alam niyo naman, ang cause ng leptospirosis, daga, yung ihi ng daga. Dapat talaga mapigilan na yung pag-swimming sa floodwaters kasi madumi talaga siya. Pakausapin ko ang MMDA, make sure ma-regulate siguro yan.
This measure will also help alleviate the burden on hospitals. The National Kidney and Transplant Institute or NKTI has converted its gyms into leptospirosis wards due to the increasing number of patients. The DOH has already activated a National Emergency Health Bureau and set up patient navigation services, according to Herbosa.
Kami ng patient navigation, nag-release kami ng telepono numbers para hindi lahat na iimbudo sa NKTI. For your information, marami rin kaming dialysis machine sa Jose N. Rodriguez kasi ito yung ginawa nating COVID hospital. So nakapag-build up kami ng maraming dialysis machines doon which can be used ngayon for lepto.
Herbosa also plans to discuss improvements in solid waste management with the MMDA. He emphasized the importance of promptly collecting trash to prevent rat infestations, especially during heavy rains. The DOH Secretary would also speak with Education Secretary Sonny Angara about educating children on the dangers of flood waters.
I think we should start educating our children na hindi tama lumusong ang mga bata sa bahay. So ang feeling ko, hindi siya communication problem, behavior problem siya. So it's a change in behavior na kailangan natin magawa na pagbawalan talaga yung kabataan.
Herbosa advised the public to wear boots if unavoidable to wade through floods. If exposed to floodwaters, individuals should immediately wash themselves with soap to eliminate bacteria and seek medical attention if there's a foot wound. Herbosa also pointed out that the rise in leptospirosis cases is largely due to people not following the safety guidelines. Instead of staying home during storms or floods, many people venture out, even bringing flotation devices to swim in contaminated water. This risky behavior has led to deaths, as recorded by the DOH, due to leptospirosis.
Meron na kaming reported at least 2 days ago I heard about 4 cases of deaths na. So mataas ang mortality ng lepto lalo na kung late na sila na-diagnose. Kaya nga ang warning namin early on pa lang, nilalagdag pa lang, make sure matingnan na sila ng doktor. Kasi ang simptomas niya parehong-pareho ng trangkaso.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Creslin Catarong, Smni News.
Transport group Manibela has warned that commuters will face even more hardships with the massive transport strike starting Wednesday to Friday. But the question is, are the group's transport strikes effective? Shino Torno for the details.
This was the situation of passengers on Monday morning in Muñoz, Quezon City. A long queue of commuters waiting for public vehicles. Why? Because no jeepneys were operating in the area. As a result, some passengers were stranded.
Siyempre malilate ka sa trabaho. Yung mga dapat mong gawin sa office ay hindi mo magagawa kaagad kasi wala kang masakyan.
Apektado po lahat pagka yung mga commuters din po talaga is nahihirapan. Then pati mga driver din po, nahihirapan din po sila.
Why are there no jeepneys available for passengers in several parts of Quezon City?
Hindi tayo pinakinggan ng Pangulo. Hindi man lang tayo binigyan ng konting halaga.
The group's members from various routes in Metro Manila gathered in Monumento, Caloocan City. But according to them, this is just a surprise protest and the actual transport strike has yet to take place. But passengers felt otherwise.
Nagmukha siyang strike kasi nga ang daming sumama din sa protesta para sa panawagan na isuspend yung PUBMP para dito sa mga may mga hinaing at hindi pa maliwanagan na mga issue lalong-lalo na sa korupsyon.
For Richard Rolos, a jeepney for several years said things have become very difficult for his livelihood. This is because his operator, the owner of the traditional jeepney he drives, has stood firm in not joining a cooperative under the modernization program.
Sana pagbigyan kami na hindi na ako pa. Susunod naman yung operator namin sa modern Kalang hindi pasok sa co-op. Parang nilihado kami. Palipat-lipat ng extra. Yung buhay pa, nakikiusap lang sa mga kasama kong driver. Nakiki-extra.
Marvel Buena, the chairman of Manibela, said the government should expect more hardships for commuters starting Wednesday to Friday when they carry out their massive transport strike. They also plan to shake up Malacanang to let Marcos Jr. know that it's time to suspend the pointless program.
Mas malala po ang makikita natin na mahirap man pong sabihin, mas malala po ang makikita nilang paghihirap ng mga mananakay, lalo na tuwing rush hour.
Valbuena said during the leadership of former President Rodrigo Duterte, they felt his compassion to ordinary people, including the jeepney drivers. Why can't Marcos Jr. do the same?
Kung si PRRD, kamay na bakal na ang ginamit niya nung panahon na siya ay nanunungkulan, pero ramdam natin nung mga panahon na yon, nakakabiyahe pa rin tayo dahil sila may puso. Ang administrasyon ngayon, walang puso, walang malasakit sa taong bayan. Kung ikukumpara ngayon sa ating presidente, mas may bayag pa si Sara Duterte, si Vice President Sara Duterte. Mahal na Pangulo, magpakalalaki ka.
But for Transportation Department Secretary Jaime Bautista, several transport strikes of the said group are no longer effective.
Alam mo, parang nasanay na tayo dito sa threat ng Manibela. No? And nakita naman natin na yung mga previous strikes nila hindi naman masyadong naka-apekto sa ating mga mananakay. No?
Kung hindi po effective ito, nagkalat po ang sasakyan ng LGU. Ang truck ng LGU, ng MMDA, para saluhin yung mga na-stranded na pasahero. Puro lang siya ngaw-ngaw. Hindi pa ito tigil pasada pero nangangagat na kami.
The DOTR chief is firm in continuing their crackdown against unconsolidated jeepneys that have failed to join a cooperative and whose franchises have also expired. To recall, some transport groups have already expressed their opposition to the said program, citing the high cost of units and unclear mechanism that are allegedly sources of corruption. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Shina Torno, Smni News.
Coming up next, North Korea sends hundreds of trash balloons to South Korea again. The so-called balloon wars have been going on for years as Seoul activists continue to fly anti-Pyongyang leaflets and broadcast loudspeaker messages near the border. And bigger, grander, and more advanced, China is set to deliver its second domestically manufactured cruise ship. More news when Newsline World returns.
Banateros tuwing Lunes hanggang Huwebes, live dito lang sa Smni.
Yan ang Banateros, walang inuurungan. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali ay babanatan. Yan ang Banateros.
Sabi nga nila, di ba? You will know them by their love. Yun ang sinabi sa Biblia. It's not on how good you are in quoting the scripture. It's giving love.
Grabe, hindi talaga hindi talaga kasya yung words eh. Kung paano natin i-express yung ating na-experience.
Mismo wala akong masabi. Kita ko kasi yung pagiging generous. Alam mo, madali kasi magsalita ng Diyos eh. Pero pagdating sa pera, pagdating sa pagiging generous, yung pagtulong sa iba, hindi biro yun. Maraming bagsak dyan. Maraming bagsak. Kaya ako nakikita ko yung pagiging generous niya. Hindi sa salita eh. Sa lakad. Bilib ako. Hindi dakdak. Nakita mo sa gawa. In one word, authentic.
The National Bureau of Investigation Region 11 served a warrant at the Kingdom of Jesus Christ religious compound in Davao City. The operation was peaceful and orderly. Details from Jean Domingo.
Members and missionaries of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ in Davao City felt at ease because there was no need for weapons and a large number of police to conduct a search inside the KOJC religious compound. Evident to this was a recent operation conducted by representatives of the National Bureau of Investigation from Region 11 on August 9. At 5 in the afternoon, representatives of the National Bureau of Investigation from Region 11 arrived, led by NBI Regional Director, Attorney Arcelito Albao, Senior Agent Vic Cano, Agent Manny Dulay, and Head Agent Vicente Minguez, where KOJC Legal Counsel, Attorney Israelito Torion, and Attorney Dinah Fuentes Tolentino immediately addressed them, while Kingdom of Jesus Christ Executive Secretary Eleanor Cardona assisted them. During the operation, KOJC officials allowed the NBI group to visit the areas they wished to search, including the King Dome, which the Philippine National Police led by Nick Torre suspected to be a hiding place for people they were looking for. According to Regional Director Albao, they conducted the operation to verify information. He stated that the operation was not difficult as they were admitted cautiously, lasting only a little over an hour, and was peaceful and orderly.
To be honest, wala kaming sa amin na agency, wala kaming nakuhang info. So para maklaro lang talaga yan, pinasok na namin para maklaro kung andyan ba talaga o wala. Ang kingdom lang ang pinasok namin, pati yung may mga banks doon, no? May mga residents na marami din, mga quarters, pinasok namin. So far, wala kaming nakita.
Naging mahirap bang pag-search natin, sir, ngayong hapon?
Hindi naman, kasi the KOJC personnel, as well as dito yung mga lawyers nila, pinapasok naman tayo. Wala pa, before na search na rin namin, so far wala din kaming nakita, but I do not know this time. So this afternoon, ito lang yung focus namin dito sa KOJC. Actually, meron ng motion for alias warrant, hindi lang namin alam kung anong resulta. Lastly, I would like to emphasize that we serve the warrant of arrest in a very peaceful and orderly manner.
According to the KOJC Legal Counsel, the operation of the National Bureau of Investigation is proof that there is no need for force and violence in serving an arrest warrant. It can be recalled that the CIDG PNP staff illegally searched the area last June 10, 2024 with full battle gears, causing fear and trauma to members and missionaries.
Well, this proves that the KOJC is very cooperative. The search was done in a very peaceful, orderly manner. And we hope and pray that the PNP would take notice of the search being conducted this afternoon, that it was conducted properly by elements of and agents of the National Bureau of Investigation.
Means to say, sir, hindi kailangan marahas to do the...
Hindi kailangan na magdala ka ng maraming armas dito kung makipag-cooperate po sila sa amin. No? Wala namang problema yon if they will properly cooperate with us. No need to show force, no need to bring armalites, no need to bring a lot of helicopters, no need to use drones and other armaments po. The KOJC is always cooperative if done pursuant to the rules of court and if done properly.
However, Attorney Torion reminded that there is no need to serve additional arrest warrants because if the police do so, it would be considered a disservice to the warrant.
I think there is no need anymore. That would be the 7th or 8th times that they would be doing that, and that would be a disservice already to the warrant. It's no longer a service. If they will do that, it will be a disservice to the warrant.
Meanwhile, the NBI also stated that contrary to reports, there is no tunnel, although there is an underground or basement in the Kingdom that they also investigated and is still under construction. Although the service of the warrant of the NBI operation was peaceful, the members and missionaries of KOJC continue to monitor anyone who wants to disturb the peace and unity of the place they call home. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jean Domingo, Smni News.
Meanwhile, former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque condemned the Court of Appeal's decision to issue a freeze order on the bank accounts of Smni. Roque emphasized the said decision by the CA is a clear suppression of free press. Here's the report by Carlo de la Peña.
The decision of the Court of Appeals to issue a freeze order against Sunshine Media Network International is a clear suppression of free press. Last week, the CA granted the Anti-Money Laundering Council's request for a freeze order on the accounts and properties of Pastor Paulo C. the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, and Smni.
Ibig sabihin, pag finerize mo account mo, sinusupil mo talaga yung malayang pananalita at malayang pamamahayag ng Smni.
Roque further added that many ordinary employees of the station would be affected by the freeze order.
Dahil ang Smni ay isang media outfit. Kapag tinanggalan mo ng bank account yan, paano magpapasweldo yan sa mga tao? Paano magpapasweldo yan pagbabayad ng kuryente sa kanilang transmission?
Aside from Smni, Roque also criticized the freezing of KOJC's accounts.
Nakasaad sa saligang batas na dahil nga sa separation between church and state, hindi pinagbabayad ng buwis ang mga simbahan. Kung hindi pinagbabayad ng buwis, bakit mo i-freeze ang kanilang account bilang isang simbahan?
The legal counsel of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ had earlier questioned the legality and basis of the 20-day freeze order from the Court of Appeals.
Kaya nga marami pong interesting issues po dito. Tsaka kasi kung legally ang mabasihan lang sana is yung Anti-Human Trafficking Act ni Blenda Portugal dito. If you will read that law, criminal forfeiture would only happen if there is already conviction. Oh, may conviction na dapat. Dito, wala pa ngang trial. Nagpa-file pa nga tayo ng motion to quash. Meron na. Yun nga pala, galing pala sa United States of America yung basis nila. I look forward to the day that we will appear in court and argue on the legal basis by which they rely upon in the filing of this petition.
Roque believes that politics is behind all of the pressure against Pastor Paulo, Smni, and even the Dutertes.
Malinaw naman yan. Yung pagigipit kay Pastor Kibuloy, yung paninira sa aking pagkatao, yung mga binapatungputin ngayon kay BP Sara, yung mga kaso na isirimpa kay Kong Pulong at kay Man Scarpio, at yung mga banta na ipapaaresto si dating Presidente Duterte pag hindi umapir sa Kamara, at dahil nga po sa ICC, lahat po yan ay politika.
The National Telecommunications Commission, or NTC, had earlier imposed an indefinite suspension on Smni, despite there being no sufficient reason or basis to do so. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, Smni News.
South Korea's military said North Korea is again sending hundreds of trash balloons amid escalating tensions between the two rivals. Paulo tells us more.
North Korea released more than 240 trash-laden balloons overnight, with only about 4% landing in South Korean territory, according to South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, or JCS. Most of the balloons fell in northern Gyeonggi, a significant decrease from the 480 that landed in South Korea during a similar launch in July 24. The JCS attributed a lower number of balloons landing in South Korea to strong winds and confirmed that as of 10 a.m. Sunday, no balloons were detected in the air. The balloons, carrying wastes such as paper and plastic bottles, did not pose safety concerns. North Korea reportedly seized the balloon launches at dawn. This incident marks the 11th balloon launch from North Korea this year, and Pyongyang has so far flown more than 2,000 of the trash balloons. This act is seen as a retaliation towards South Korean civilian activists who have been flying anti-North Korea leaflets across the border. In response to ongoing launches, South Korea has intensified loudspeaker broadcasts toward the border since July 18. The South Korean military continues to collect the balloons after they land, maintaining a policy of avoiding direct confrontation to prevent escalation. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia. Smni News.
Hamas now wants a Gaza ceasefire deal based on the previous talks instead of holding new negotiations. Melchizedek at Cadiz for the details.
Hamas wants the mediators of the Gaza ceasefire to put forward a plan to implement what they had approved before, instead of going to more rounds of talks or introducing new proposals. In a statement, Hamas said it calls on the mediators to present a plan to implement what was agreed upon by the movement on July 2, 2024, which is based on Biden's vision and the UN Security Council resolution. To recall, on August 8, the leaders of Egypt, Qatar, and the United States urged Israel and Hamas not to waste more time to finalize a ceasefire agreement and resume negotiations. According to a joint statement released by Egyptian presidency, the three countries invited Israel and Hamas to resume the urgent discussion on August 15th in Doha or Cairo to close all remaining gaps and commence implementation of the deal without further delay. Hamas initially said it was studying the offer, but has now said it will not send a delegation for the upcoming August 15th Gaza ceasefire talks. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
Meanwhile, in Thailand, a team of lawyers is suing private companies for damages caused by the invasive black chin tilapia, which has disrupted local fisheries and displaced native species. Chatmongon Pisamongonzon reports.
The Lawyers Council of Thailand is suing private companies and state agencies
over the spread of black-chin tilapia, an invasive species. The fish has been taking over Thai waters, displacing native species and damaging commercial fisheries. The council also set up booths for affected residents to join the lawsuit or private evidence. By Sunday afternoon, 214 fish farmers had signed up at one location and 57 at another earlier in August. The council plans to file the lawsuit by Friday, and it would take months for the court to make a decision. The invasive fish has caused significant financial losses for several fish farms and a crab farm in Thailand. Black-chin tilapia breed rapidly, and they prey on small fish and fish eggs, harming local fish species. It can live in various water types, including fresh, sea, and brackish waters. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Shadmongkon Pisamaikoson, your Global Citizens correspondent for Smni News Channel.
Thousands more have been displaced in southwest Gaza since the October 7, 2023 attack, with overcrowded shelters and reports of significant destruction and casualties. Grati Ramori for the details.
According to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, 75,000 people have been displaced in southwest Gaza in recent days. This follows new evacuation orders from the Israeli military for residents in central Khan Yunis. UNRWA Commissioner General Philip Lazzarini said displaced people are moving to overcrowded shelters, noting Gaza residents are facing severe restrictions on their ability to find safety. The Al-Quds Brigades, the armed wing of the Islamic Jihad movement, claimed attacks on Israeli soldiers and vehicles in Khan Yunis and rocket strikes on the Israeli city of Ashkelon. The Israeli military conducted air raids on several Gaza locations, including the Nuseirat and Borij refugee camps and Khan Yunis. Gaza's government reported the destruction of over 100 schools and deaths of more than 100 university professors and over 500 teachers. The Israeli side has not yet responded to these claims. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omori, your Global Citizen correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
The number of deaths from a plane crash that occurred in a Brazilian state has increased to 62. The tragedy happened last Friday and investigation is underway. David Lira will give us more details.
A passenger plane operated by Brazilian regional airline Voo crashed in the city of Velloso, São Paulo on Friday, killing dozens of people on board. The plane, which was en route from Cascavel, Paraná to Guarulhos International Airport, was carrying 57 passengers and 4 crew members when the plane crashed on Friday. All of them died. The 62nd victim, Constantino de Maia, was not initially listed as a boarded passenger due to a technical issue with the airline system. Video captured by locals showing the plane spiraling down have fueled speculation about the crash's cause, although official confirmation is still pending. The black box flight records have been recovered and sent to Brasilia for analysis as authorities investigate the cause of the tragedy. Firefighters, military police, and civil defense workers have sealed off the crash site, where the plane fell into houses in the Capela de Vinhedo neighborhood. No one in the ground was injured. The aircraft's black boxes, containing crucial voice recordings and flight data, are now under examination, with investigators focusing on possible causes, including ice formation on the wings and body. Meanwhile, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has declared a state of mourning from Friday to Sunday and called for a minute of silence in honor of the victims. Authorities are providing full support to the families of the victims, many of whom have traveled from Paraná to São Paulo. Efforts are also underway to identify the remains with the help of dental records and x-rays provided by the relatives. Psychologists and medical professionals have been deployed on site to assist family during the tragic time, ensuring they receive the care and support they need. This has been David Lira, your Global Citizen correspondent for SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Sun. Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day. And that's all for this edition. For more news update, you may visit smnichannel.com or follow us in our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. God and Country, I'm Frederico Velloso, and this is Newsline World.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.